Hello and welcome to another edition of Strategic Gaming. My name is Mac Taylor, talking about Phase 2 of Survivor Palau. Now, last time we left off right in the middle of a double tribal council. Willard was voted out 8-1, and now the Karor people, they get to go over to the jury seats, eat some food, and watch the Oolong Tribal Council take place. And we get a little bit of a twisty twist here, and they get to give immunity to one of the Oolong members. And feeling that Ibrahim was going to be the next one voted out due to his poor challenge performance. Poor challenge performance. Try saying that one fast. They give immunity to Ibrahim. So the votes come out, and we tie up between Bobby John and Angie. But on a revote, Angie voted out of Oolong. My final thoughts on Angie, I really enjoyed her. I think she proved a lot playing this game. You know, she was almost the last pick. She was almost out right at the start because people viewed her as weak, and she turned out to be one tough cookie. She was really good in the physical parts. She was teaming up with Steph, and I think had Oolong not lost everything, and B, that Ibrahim wasn't given immunity, I think Angie does really well in this game. Like, I really am sad that she never came back for a second shot because I felt like she has the most to gain from a second shot. I really do think that Angie would do exceptionally well on a second chance. So back at camp, Ibrahim, he's still a huge target for performing really poorly, and him and James get into this debacle. And really, both tribes were going to tribal council anyway. So is it a huge deal that they lost that reward? Not entirely. Karor already knew they were a mess. And it just wasn't that big of a deal. They didn't get to eat some stew, but whatever. Like, quit holding on to it. Like, Ibrahim's been okay in the other challenges. I don't really see what the big deal is here at the Oolong camp. And back on the flip, on the Karor side, Kobe is super annoyed with Katie, as is Janu. Kobe and Janu are very close, and so he cannot stand Katie. So there is a lot of tension and friction on Karor. They're just not losing, so they don't have to worry about tension coming in a bad way. So we get this reward where they're shooting tiles with like this old war like cannon thing. It's like turret kind of gun. It's really cool. And they get Pringles and Mai Tai. Pringles and Mai Tais. And go to this like huge body of water where there's thousands of jellyfish. And basically through having no predators in the area, they don't sting you because they don't fear anything. That's really awesome that they get to do. This is an awesome reward. And Oolong wins this reward. And they are feeling very, very good about themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, we had this great immunity. We're close. Like, I think we're going to turn this around. And they have this really bad storm, which shakes Janu. Janu is just... It's shades of like Jerry and All-Stars when they had that huge storm, that she's broken. Tom tries his best to keep her together because they don't want to lose a challenge. They want to keep this streak alive. And so we have this flag retrieval immunity, and Karor wins immunity again, sending Oolong back to tribal council again. And Stephanie frames James for that vote against Bobby John. So Bobby John is looking at James as a target, even though he should be looking at Stephanie. And Bobby John and Stephanie have come to this agreement that they should probably just work together to the final two. Due to there's not a lot of options left. So we get a 2-2 vote between Ibrahim and James. And then we get a revote, and for 2-0, James is voted out. My final thoughts on James. At first, I really like James, but he does become a bit grating toward the end of his run here on Survivor. He talks a lot and does not back it up 90% of the time. He's not that great at challenges, and he wasn't that great at strategy. He got an alliance together, but things quickly fell apart. This was destined to happen for James. I feel like he goes out. If he makes the merge, he's early merge boots. So, he's just not the kind of guy that's going to win this game. So Oolong now in a bit of an odd spot. They're down to 3 people. And it's just weird to see a tribe that's so low on numbers when they started out with 9 people. They're down to 3 people. And Ibrahim hopes that maybe this is where it starts turning around, because maybe the 3 that they have are the good at challenge people. Maybe they'll start picking things back up. And then we get back to the Ian and Tom wanting to get a shark. But Tom does get a shark. It comes close to the beach, and Tom basically attacks a shark with a machete and gets it. And Tom says, I can't hide my strength and my tribe. I wanted to come in, use my gray hair as an advantage, and be the old dad kind of guy in the tribe. But I'm the hunter, I'm strong in the challenges, and I just can't hide behind that. And Tom is the kind of player who, I don't know why he thought he was ever going to be able to hide his... He can't help himself. He's got to beast out all the time. So how the hell is he supposed to hide that? He chopped a shark's head off with a machete. That is, you can't act frail after that. So we get the SOS reward challenge. We've seen this all through Survivor. Karor wins reward. Greg and Jen, they're basically they've become a couple. But Greg wants to try to separate himself a little bit from Jen as to not make them a huge duo target. And we get the immunity where you got someone sitting on a perch calling the puzzle pieces. And Karor once again wins immunity, meaning one of the 3 Oolong people will be going home. And Bobby John is the swing vote, because Ibrahim wants Stephanie, Stephanie wants Ibrahim, Bobby John's in the middle here. He gets to make the decision. And Stephanie is really trying hard to reel in Bobby John to vote out Ibrahim. And then Steph even goes up to Ibrahim and is like, do you just want to vote out Bobby John and me and you go? And if I'm Ibrahim, that's okay. Yeah, Steph, let's vote out Bobby John if it's going to be that simple. I don't know why he's not taking this offer, because it doesn't. There are 3 people in your tribe. Does it fucking matter who goes home? As long as it's not you, that should be the move that you go for. But by 2-1, Ibrahim is voted out. We didn't really get to see much of Ibrahim for as far as he makes it in the game. He seemed kind of socially aware, but he was never really on the right side of the vote. He always seemed to be left out until it came to a point where he absolutely had to be put in. He was okay at challenges, but just overall, really just forgettable. He didn't really give me anything that says, I would like to see this guy play again, or I think this guy was screwed over, and I didn't see much. In a normal situation, yeah, he probably makes a little bit into the merge, but I don't think he makes it to top 6 or anything. So I think Ibrahim is just a kind of just one of those Survivor players you never think about. So at Karor, the rats are just having a field day, because they're eating their scraps and stuff. The rats they're not afraid of the Karor people. They're just scampering around having a good old time. And Tom, they get a shower, and I jumped ahead. Whoops. Take 2 here. Kobe is mad at there's a messy camp. Kobe is a nitpicker to begin with, and this is definitely one of those instances. Doesn't look good for him. And we get a Bailout eating reward challenge. Bailout is duck fetus or chicken fetus. It's basically just like a little, not quite developed bird that they have to eat. And Bobby, John, and Ian have to eat a lot of them. And it's for shower and showering supplies. Karor wins reward. And instead of showering, Tom just wants to, hey, that's clean water. We don't have to boil it. This is pure drinking water we have. We should not shower with it. We can shower in the ocean. We have the shower supplies. Let's just drink this water. And nobody's going to oppose Tom. They're like, yep, okay, whatever you say, Tom. And Ian and Tom are already talking about, Greg and Jen. Greg and Jen, they're a couple. Greg's a smart guy, smart survivor player. And Ian's like, yeah, he is a smart player. The besties have set their sights on Greg and Jen. And they also talk about that Tom, Ian, Katie, and Steph did form a bond before they were put into the tribe. So Steph, had she been on Karor, being a fantastic spot, but she's still in an okay spot because they can reel in Stephanie. And Steph is annoyed with Bobby John, which, hey, if you spent all this time and it's just you and this one person now, they're probably going to get on your nerves. And it's just this thing that they're basically now just roommates out in the jungle. So we get a water balance beam and puzzle immunity. Karor wins immunity, it's not even Oolong anymore. They send Steph and Bobby John to tribal council. So one of the two is going to go home. And Karor's celebrating because, hey, we basically made the jury. There's going to be 9 of us after one of them goes home. We all did it. Pretty much the whole tribe is made jury. That's awesome. Stephanie's worried. She's like, this could be it for me. And Bobby John's like, I can probably get by this one. So we get a fire-making challenge because obviously they can't just vote for each other. There has to be a tiebreaker. So, first to make fire and split the rope wins. And it's close, but Stephanie wins the fire-making challenge. Bobby John will be the last non-juror. He gets 10th place. And it is interesting that they never tribe swapped. This is one of the only seasons that they did not tribe swap. It almost makes me think the producers of the show were like, let's just see how long this happens. They gotta win one, right? And then they just didn't. And they're like, well, okay. We'll just let it happen. We're just gonna let this tribe come one by one get picked off. But it's interesting because we got to see what that would look like. It's a survivor first. So Steph is now all alone. She has to go back to camp by herself and do all the jobs around camp, getting the firewood and making the fire, and going and getting water and tending to the shelter and cooking and everything else by herself. What Karor is doing with 8 people, she is doing by herself. And that is such tedious and stressful work. My heart went out to Stephanie in this one. She is officially Oolong is a tribe of 1, which is insane. And Janu and Kobe, they feel on the outs. They feel they need Steph. And so they're going to merge, and this is another first time in Survivor history that they're like, hey, basically, Karor, you guys destroyed Oolong. So instead of merging the tribes together, there is no really tribes to merge. We're just going to say, hey, you're Karor. So for the first time, there is no merged tribe name, merged tribe color. It's just they're Karor. So Stephanie becomes a member of Karor, which is so weird to have happen. And Jen, she wants to take Steph out immediately. She's like, let's just get her out and worry about the Karor people moving forward. And then these Palauans show up, and they're showing them how to fish and how to do all this stuff around camp. And there's a situation where the guys all want to go fishing, and but they need someone to stay by and catch bait. And they basically just leave Kobe to do it by himself. And he's like, why am I being left here by myself? And Ian's like, well, I'll stay if you want to go. And it becomes a thing where Kobe's like, no, it's fine. I'm just being left out. It's fine. The Palauans are sitting there what is going on here? Very awkward for them. But Kobe gets very upset because he's not part of the macho fishing trip, which kind of bad on Greg, Ian, and Tom, not to just leave one, not to split it 2-2, just the three of you to go fish. You didn't need that. And it's party time, though. That they brought rum, and they're eating fish, and Tom loves the Palauans. He is buddy with the Palauans. Hey, if you guys ever come to New York City, you go find Tom Westman. We're going to party. And Kobe now, he wants to work with Stephanie. Stephanie's becoming quite the hot commodity. Because it's, who's going to be able to get the numbers. In turn, Karor's about to eat itself. So everyone sees that Kobe went off to talk to Stephanie. Which, in Survivor, if you're trying to talk to someone secretively, doing it in front of people is not the way to go about it. If they see you go off with somebody, the flags have been raised. And then Steph immediately goes and spills the beans to everyone about what Kobe offered her to work with him and Janu. And so Tom's like, well, all right, we'll just put you in Kobe's spot, and we'll think about targeting Kobe. So they get the endurance immunity. And Kobe is taunting people and being kind of a dick during his challenge. It's dude, if you're already on the outs and you're trying to figure out how to get numbers, just pissing people off doesn't make it any better. You should be doing the opposite, trying to make people feel better about you. But the elimination order is Kobe, Janu, Katie, Jen, Ian, Greg, and Steph. Comes down to Karen and Tom. Tom wins first individual immunity. And we go to Tribal Council, and the vote comes out 7-1. Kobe, the first person voted out of the merge, or the first juror here. Final thoughts on Kobe. He started out really well. But he did make some small mistakes, like not picking Angie to be on Karor, and not making bonds with certain people early on. And then he was okay. It looked like him and Greg and Jen and Janu were going to take control, but he let his emotions get the best of him and just kind of self-destructed as soon as the merge hit. And because of that, he was taken out. It's his own fault. When you're in these situations where you emotionally are upset, you have to put that, bottle that up and put that inside of you, because this is a game mostly built on social interaction, and you cannot be the person that's melting down. And just like that, we're going to wrap up Phase 2. Join me next time we talk about Phase 3, where we go to the final 8 down to the final 4 of Survivor Palau. Again, my name is Mac Taylor. Thanks, everybody.